Maya Chen stared at the holographic equations floating before her, their soft blue glow illuminating her small office at the Centauri Institute of Advanced Sciences. The numbers didn't lie. They never did. But what they were telling her threatened to upend 3,000 years of accepted quantum physics. She ran the simulation again, her fingers dancing through the air as she manipulated the virtual interface. The same anomaly appeared, a tiny discrepancy in the unified field equations that the greatest minds across 17,000 species had used to build their understanding of the universe. The door chimed, and Dr. Varix's massive frame filled the entrance. The Thoraxian's crystalline exoskeleton caught the light from her equations, casting prismatic patterns across the walls. "Dr. Chen, you missed the department meeting." Again. Maya didn't look up. "I found something, Doctor. The Heisen-Kittel equations. They're incomplete." Varix's crystalline structures shifted, a sign of annoyance in his species. "Those equations have built every quantum drive in the galaxy. They're the foundation of modern civilization." "They're wrong," Maya said, finally turning to face him. "Or not wrong exactly, but incomplete. Look at this." She gestured, and the hologram expanded to fill the room. "When we apply the equations to quantum interactions above 10 million Kelvin, there's a persistent energy loss that nobody can explain. Everyone assumes it's measurement error, but I've found a pattern." "Dr. Chen," Varix's tone carried the weight of authority, "you're a brilliant physicist. That's why we brought you here from Earth. But you're letting your human tendency for pattern-seeking lead you astray." Maya stood, her dark eyes intense. "I can prove it. The pattern appears in every high-energy interaction we've recorded. The equations don't account for quantum momentum decay at extreme temperatures. It's subtle, but it's there. These equations were developed by the greatest minds in the galaxy, refined over millennia. And they're beautiful." Maya interrupted. "They're elegant, but they're incomplete." She pulled up another hologram, this one showing historical data from thousands of experiments. "Look at the variance. It's always there, always following the same curve. We've been ignoring it because it didn't fit our models." Varix moved closer, his crystalline body humming with tension. "Do you understand what you're suggesting? Every quantum physics textbook in the galaxy would need to be rewritten. Thousands of technologies would need to be reevaluated." "I understand exactly what I'm suggesting," Maya said quietly. "And I'm right." The Thoraxian was silent for a long moment, studying the equations. "Submit your findings to the review board," he finally said. "But Maya, be careful. The scientific community doesn't respond well to having its foundations shaken." After Varix left, Maya sat back at her desk, reviewing her work one more time. She knew what was coming: the scrutiny, the skepticism, the potential ridicule. But she also knew she couldn't ignore this discovery. The implications were too important. She began preparing her presentation for the review board, knowing that everything would change once she shared her findings. The equations danced before her, beautiful in their complexity, hiding a truth that had waited millennia to be discovered. As she worked, a message flashed across her screen. The review board would hear her presentation in 3 days. Maya took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. She had faced skepticism before, had fought her way up from Earth's recovering universities to earn a place at the most prestigious scientific institution in the galaxy. The holographic equations continued their silent dance, holding secrets that could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. Maya Chen, daughter of Earth, had never backed down from a challenge before. She wasn't about to start now. She worked through the night, refining her presentation, triple-checking her calculations. Outside her window, the massive rings of Saturn filled the sky, a reminder of how far humanity had come. And now, perhaps, they were ready to take another leap forward. Maya knew that tomorrow would bring either validation or humiliation. But as she reviewed her work one final time, she felt a quiet certainty. The universe had whispered one of its secrets to her, and she would make them listen. The next morning, She submitted her findings to the review board. As she pressed the transmit button, she couldn't help but smile. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries came not from building on what we know, but from questioning what we think we can't question. The message confirming receipt flashed across her screen. There was no going back now. In 3 days, she would either change our understanding of the universe or end her career in spectacular fashion. Somehow, she was looking forward to finding out which it would be. The amphitheater of the Centauri Institute fell silent as Maya finished her presentation. Hundreds of the galaxy's most respected physicists sat motionless, their varied forms, from crystalline to gaseous to humanoid, all focused on the complex equations still hovering in the air. The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable. Finally, Dr. Nexus, the ancient meridian whose gaseous form swirled with agitation, spoke. Dr. Chen, you expect us to believe that every civilization in the galaxy has overlooked this supposed quantum momentum decay for 3,000 years. Maya stood her ground. The evidence is in the data. Every high-energy experiment we've ever conducted shows the same anomaly. We've been dismissing it as measurement error, but it follows a clear pattern. Dr. Nexus's form rippled dismissively. Humans see patterns in stellar dust. Your species spent millennia attributing random star configurations to mythological figures. Laughter rippled through the audience. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but kept her voice steady. The mathematics is sound. I've included verification protocols in my submission. Anyone can reproduce these results. From the back of the amphitheater, a voice cut through the murmurs. I already have. All attention turned to the speaker, a tall, insectoid figure who rose from his seat. Maya recognized him as Kithrix, the controversial Ulsarian quantum engineer whose own theories had often challenged conventional wisdom. The human's equations are correct, Kithrix continued, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic displays. I've run the simulations independently. The decay pattern appears consistently at high energy states. Dr. Verix's crystalline form vibrated with concern. Kithrix, you of all people should understand the danger of such claims. The Hyson-Kittel equations are the foundation of modern quantum engineering, which is precisely why we should examine any potential flaws. Kithrix responded, making his way down to the presentation floor. His long, articulated fingers gestured at Maya's equations. Look at the elegance of the solution. It doesn't invalidate our current understanding. It completes it. The room erupted in heated debate. Maya watched as centuries of scientific certainty collided with the uncomfortable reality of her discovery. She noticed several younger researchers studying her equations intently, while their older colleagues dismissed them outright. Dr. Nexus's form darkened ominously. This is nothing but attention-seeking behavior, typical of both humans, and, he paused meaningfully, certain Ulsarians who shall remain unnamed. Kithrix's antennae twitched in what Maya had learned was amusement. Ad hominem attacks, Dr. Nexus. How very unscientific. Before the situation could escalate further, the review board chair, a towering Valerian named Dr. Sem, raised all 4 of her arms for silence. We have heard enough. Dr. Chen, while your creativity is noted, this board cannot endorse theories that threaten to undermine established physical laws without overwhelming evidence. But the evidence is right there. Maya protested, pointing to her data sets. Evidence you claim to have found in our own experiments. Dr. Sem continued smoothly. Yet none of our scientists have ever drawn these conclusions. The board's decision is final. Your research privileges at the Centauri Institute are hereby suspended pending a full review of your work and methods. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. Suspension meant no access to the quantum labs, no use of the Institute's computational resources, no way to further prove her theory. She watched as her equations faded from the air, taking her scientific career with them. As the amphitheater emptied, Kithrix approached her. They fear what they don't understand, he said quietly, his mandibles clicking softly. But fear has never advanced science. Maya gathered her data crystals with shaking hands. Without access to a quantum lab, I can't prove them wrong. Perhaps. Kethrix's compound eyes glittered. You don't need their lab. He glanced around before continuing in a lower voice. I maintain certain, independent research facilities, away from institutional oversight. Maya looked up sharply. That's illegal. So was heliocentrism, once, Kethrix replied. Meet me at the Europa transfer station tomorrow if you're interested in proving your theory. Sometimes, Dr. Chen, advancement requires us to step outside the established order. As Kethrix walked away, Maya stood alone in the now empty amphitheater. Her career at the most prestigious scientific institution in the galaxy lay in ruins. But perhaps, she thought, looking at the data crystal in her hand, that's exactly what she needed. The next day, she would have to choose between accepting defeat and pursuing her theory outside the bounds of accepted scientific practice. As she left the amphitheater, Maya already knew which path she would choose. After all, she hadn't come all the way from Earth to let fear of failure stop her now. Europa's surface gleamed like polished glass, its icy expanse stretching endlessly beneath Jupiter's massive form. Maya followed Kethrix through abandoned mining tunnels, their footsteps echoing in the crystalline corridors. The Alcerian's natural bioluminescence cast an eerie green glow ahead of them. The mining consortium abandoned these tunnels decades ago, Kethrix explained, his mandibles clicking softly. Something about unsafe conditions. Perfect place for those who prefer to work without oversight. They emerged into a vast chamber carved from the ice. Maya gasped. The space was filled with salvaged equipment, quantum analyzers, particle accelerators, and computational arrays, all somehow acquired from various sources across the galaxy. Most looked outdated but functional. Welcome to my humble laboratory, Kethrix said, his compound eyes reflecting the blue glow of active equipment. Not quite the Centauri Institute, but then again, some of humanity's greatest discoveries were made in garages and basements, were they not? Maya walked among the equipment, running her hands over the machines. How did you get all this? The galaxy's institutions are remarkably wasteful. They discard perfectly good equipment simply because newer models become available. He gestured to a massive quantum scanner. This beauty was headed for recycling just because its interface is 2 years outdated. Maya's scientific mind was already racing, analyzing the possibilities. With some modifications, we could create a contained quantum field to test my theories about momentum decay. Precisely. Kethrix moved to a workstation and activated a holographic display. I've been reviewing your equations. The energy loss you've identified, it's not just theoretical. I believe I've observed it in practical applications. He pulled up data from his own experiments. Look at these energy readings from quantum drive tests. The variance matches your predicted pattern perfectly. Maya studied the data, excitement building. This is it, real-world confirmation. But why hasn't anyone else noticed? Because, Kethrix's antennae twitched in amusement. Everyone assumes their equipment is malfunctioning when it doesn't match expected results. They recalibrate until they get the numbers they're looking for. Over the next weeks, Maya and Kethrix worked tirelessly to modify the equipment. They repurposed the quantum scanner into a specialized detector for high-energy particle interactions. Maya's hands grew calloused from working with tools, so different from the elegant gesture interfaces at the Institute. But it wasn't just about proving her theory anymore. As they worked, Kethrix shared stories of other researchers who had challenged conventional wisdom, only to be dismissed or ostracized. The galaxy's scientific community, for all its advances, still clung to its certainties. There, Maya said one day, stepping back from the modified quantum field generator, if my calculations are correct, this should let us observe the momentum decay effect directly. Kethrix examined her work. Elegant solution, using nested fields to amplify the effect. Very clever. Shall we test it? They initiated the startup sequence. The chamber hummed with energy as the quantum field stabilized. Maya held her breath as the first readings came in. The holographic display erupted with data. Energy patterns swirled and shifted, forming exactly the configuration Maya had predicted. The momentum decay was there, clear as starlight, impossible to dismiss as mere measurement error. By the first ones, Kethrix whispered, his usual scientific detachment cracking. "It's beautiful." Maya's hands trembled as she analyzed the results. "The effect is even stronger than I calculated. This changes everything. The implications for quantum drive efficiency alone." A warning alarm cut through their excitement. Kethrix rushed to check the readings. The field containment. It's starting to destabilize. The effect is cascading. Maya's mind raced. Cut power to the outer field, if we can't contain it. But it was too late. The quantum fields collapsed in a spectacular burst of energy, sending equipment crashing across the chamber. Emergency systems activated, filling the space with suppressant fog. When the chaos settled, Maya and Kethrix surveyed the damage. Most of their equipment was fried, the delicate quantum sensors overloaded by the unexpected energy surge. "Well," Kethrix said, picking himself up from where he'd taken cover, "I believe that counts as a successful proof of concept." Maya couldn't help but laugh, despite the destruction. "Yes, but we need to refine the containment systems. The effect is more powerful than we anticipated." "Indeed." Kethrix's compound eyes studied her thoughtfully. "You realize what this means. Your theory isn't just correct. It's more fundamental than even you suspected. The energy efficiency implications alone could revolutionize space travel." Maya nodded, already calculating the adjustments they'd need to make. "But first we need to prove it in a way that can't be dismissed or ignored. We need results so clear, so unambiguous, that even the Centauri Institute can't deny them." "Agreed." Kethrix began clearing debris, though perhaps with slightly less explosive results next time. As they worked to restore the lab, Maya felt a surge of determination. They had proof now, actual, experimental proof. The next step was to refine it, to create a demonstration that would force the scientific community to confront its own assumptions. The ice tunnels of Europa might not have the prestige of the Centauri Institute, but here, in this makeshift lab, Maya Chen was about to change the galaxy's understanding of physics, and this time, she had the evidence to prove it. News of unusual quantum activity on Europa spread through the scientific community like a shockwave. Maya and Kethrix had managed to keep their work secret for 3 months, but the massive energy surge from their last experiment had been impossible to hide. Maya was soldering modifications to their rebuilt quantum field generator when Kethrix burst into the lab, his carapace vibrating with agitation. "They're coming. The Galactic Science Council has dispatched investigators." She didn't look up from her work. "How long?" "Hours at most. Someone at the Europa Port Authority leaked our energy signatures." His antennae twitched nervously. "We should destroy the evidence and leave." "No." Maya finished the connection and tested the circuit. "We're too close. The containment field modifications are ready. We can prove it works." Kethrix moved closer, lowering his voice. "Maya, you don't understand. The Council doesn't just enforce scientific standards. They control all advanced research in governed space. Unauthorized quantum experiments are a serious offense. Then we better make this count." She stood, wiping grime from her hands. "Help me set up the demonstration sequence." They worked frantically, preparing their equipment as Kethrix's security sensors tracked multiple ships approaching Europa. Maya's hands moved with practiced efficiency, no longer the awkward gestures of a theoretical physicist unused to practical work. "Energy matrices are aligned," Kethrix reported. "Field containment at optimal levels." "But Maya," he hesitated, "even if this works perfectly, they might still shut us down." "Maybe." She checked the final connections. "But they'll have to acknowledge the results first." The lab's entrance sensor chimed. Maya straightened her back, trying to ignore her pounding heart. Right on schedule. The door slid open, revealing a delegation of council officials. Dr. Sem led the group, her forearms crossed in disapproval. Behind her stood Dr. Nexus, his gaseous form swirling with barely contained anger, and several armed enforcement officers. Dr. Chen, Kithrix. Dr. Sem's voice was cold. You are both charged with conducting unauthorized quantum research. Furthermore, Dr. Chen, you are accused of continuing research activities after formal suspension. Perfect timing, Maya said, surprising them with her calm demeanor. You're just in time for our demonstration. Dr. Nexus's form rippled. Demonstration? This is a criminal proceeding, not a scientific conference. Really? Maya gestured to the equipment around them. Because I see the heads of quantum physics from the Council, the Centauri Institute, and the Meridian Science Academy. You could have sent enforcement officers alone to shut us down. Instead, you brought the galaxy's leading experts in quantum mechanics. She stepped forward, her voice gaining strength. You came because you saw our energy readings. Because despite everything you believe about quantum momentum decay being impossible, you detected something you couldn't explain. Your arrogance is astounding. Dr. Nexus began, but Dr. Sem raised a hand for silence, her eyes fixed on the experimental setup. You have 5 minutes to make your case, Dr. Chen, she said. After that, this facility will be shut down and all equipment confiscated. Maya nodded to Kethrix, who began the startup sequence. The lab hummed with power as multiple quantum fields sprang into existence, their boundaries visible as shimmering planes of energy. Watch the energy flow patterns, Maya instructed, pulling up holographic displays. Traditional models predict uniform distribution, but when we push the field energy past 10 million Kelvin, the quantum fields pulsed. Energy patterns shifted, forming complex geometries that directly contradicted conventional physics. The assembled scientists moved closer, their professional detachment cracking as they watched the impossible unfold before them. Impossible, Dr. Nexus whispered, his gaseous form condensing in shock. No, Kithrix said, his mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Merely overlooked. The mathematics predicted this exactly. Dr. Sem moved to examine the readings. These energy patterns, they match the anomalies we've been detecting in high-energy quantum drives. The same anomalies everyone's been ignoring for centuries, Maya said, because they didn't fit our assumptions about how quantum fields should behave. The demonstration continued, each moment revealing new aspects of Maya's theory. The council scientists huddled around displays, arguing over equations and implications, their earlier hostility forgotten in the face of groundbreaking discovery. As the fields powered down, Dr. Sem turned to Maya. This will require extensive peer review, independent verification, years of additional research. Of course, Maya smiled. Science demands rigor. But first, it demands honesty. The courage to accept when our most cherished theories need revision. Dr. Nexus's form had darkened considerably. The implications: every quantum drive in the galaxy operates on principles that are fundamentally flawed. Not flawed, Kithrix corrected. Incomplete. And now we can make them better. Dr. Sem studied Maya for a long moment. The council will need to discuss this extensively. But she paused, all four hands clasped behind her back. I believe we can suspend the charges against you, pending a full review of your research. As the council delegation filed out, already deep in heated discussion about the implications of what they'd seen, Kithrix turned to Maya. They're still not happy about this. No, she agreed, watching them go. But they can't ignore it anymore. Sometimes that's all the victory we need. 1 year later, Maya stood at the podium of the Grand Assembly Hall on New Alexandria, Earth's premier scientific colony. The vast chamber was filled to capacity with representatives from every major scientific institution in the galaxy. The same equations that had once led to her expulsion now floated majestically above the audience, accepted and celebrated. The implementation of quantum momentum decay compensation in standard drive systems has already reduced energy consumption by 37%, she explained, gesturing to the latest test results. But this is just the beginning. Our understanding of high-energy quantum interactions has opened doors we didn't even know existed. In the front row, Keith Ricks sat beside Dr. Sem, their unlikely partnership having proved crucial in the past year. The Alsarian's independent lab had been officially recognized as a special research facility, though Maya suspected he still kept a few projects off the official records. We've confirmed successful tests of the Chen-Kithrix field generator on 17 different worlds, Maya continued. Each implementation has shown consistent results. The energy efficiency improvements alone have made interstellar travel more accessible to developing civilizations. She paused, looking out at the assembled scientists. Many of the faces that had once shown skepticism or outright hostility now displayed eager attention. Even Dr. Nexus, his gaseous form now a respectful shade of purple, nodded in acknowledgement. But perhaps the most significant impact isn't technological, Maya said, her voice softening. It's philosophical. For 3,000 years, we believed we had mastered the fundamentals of quantum mechanics. Our certainty became a barrier to discovery. The holographic display shifted, showing a series of historical scientific paradigm shifts across various civilizations. Every species represented here has a similar story in their scientific history, a moment when they had to choose between comfortable certainty and uncomfortable truth. Dr. Sem rose from her seat, all four arms raised in the traditional gesture of academic inquiry. Dr. Chen, your work has indeed revolutionized our understanding of quantum physics. But I must ask, how did you see what so many others missed? Maya smiled, remembering her tiny office at the Centauri Institute. I didn't start by looking for what was wrong. I started by asking why our most advanced quantum drives weren't performing as efficiently as our equations said they should. Sometimes the most important discoveries come not from seeking new answers, but from questioning our old ones. The assembly hall erupted in discussion. Maya watched as scientists from across the galaxy engaged in animated debates about the implications of her work. Species that had once fought wars now collaborated on quantum field research. Her theory hadn't just changed physics, it had changed how they approached discovery itself. After the presentation, Keith Ricks approached her. Not bad for an expelled researcher working out of an illegal lab, he clicked, his compound eyes glittering with amusement. About that, Maya said, pulling up a secure datapad. I've been reviewing some anomalous readings from the quantum barrier experiments at the Europa facility. There's a pattern that doesn't quite fit our current models. Thrix's antennae twitched with interest. Another oversight in accepted theory. Maybe. She showed him the data. Want to help me find out? The Alsarian studied the readings, his scientific curiosity visibly piqued. You realize you're now part of the establishment you once challenged. The famous Dr. Chen, whose equations are taught in every physics course in the galaxy. Maya laughed. All the more reason to keep questioning. Besides, she gestured to the still buzzing assembly hall. Look how well that worked out last time. As they discussed the new anomaly, Maya reflected on how much had changed. Her equations had transformed space travel, energy production, and scientific collaboration across the galaxy. But more importantly, they had transformed how scientists thought about their own knowledge. The next day, as her ship prepared to depart for Europa, Maya received a message from Earth's Science Academy. They were establishing a new department dedicated to investigating theoretical anomalies in accepted physics models. They wanted her to lead it. She smiled as she read the proposal. The galaxy had finally learned that progress doesn't come from defending what we think we know, but from having the courage to question it. And somewhere out there, another researcher was probably looking at accepted equations, seeing patterns everyone else had missed, preparing to change everything again. Maya sent her acceptance, then turned to the data from the quantum barrier experiments. After all, she had work to do. The universe still held countless secrets, waiting for someone brave enough to question the answers everyone else took for granted.